oral sex human centipede. And I just yelled at them and they went everywhere, man. It was like 14 women. I was like, yeah, you know, I'd be professional. I'd be like, hey, y'all get the hell out of here. But I was like, in my mind, I was like, damn.
What's up, everybody? I'm Blessed and Free. Welcome back to another episode of DOC TV. So obviously you guys can see by the intro, it's going to be an interview, but I wanted to tap in real quick before this interview and just say I appreciate all the support. Everybody's been rocking with the channel. Me and a couple other YouTubers are actually in the process of going into a house, and we're going to do nothing in that house but create content 24/7. So I'm going to have a lot more new episodes dropping. I'm going to be bringing on a diversity of different people, some fire. So if you're not subscribed, man, make sure you're subscribed and turn those post notifications on. You guys saw by the intro, it's going to be Cedric, the corrupt author. This guy was a correctional officer in the Alabama prison system, and he's got a lot of shit he's about to expose today in this episode. So let's go.
Oh, what's up, everybody? I'm from the great state of Alabama. I'm the corrupt author Cedric Long, corruptauthor.com.
All right. So you've been on the channel before and you dropped some, a lot of shit that you saw when you were working in the Alabama prison system. And for the people that don't know, you worked at a women's prison and you have a lot of stories about what went on there, man. So there's one thing I wanted to ask you about. I researched some stuff in the Alabama prison system, and I heard about some stuff going down in the gun towers, man. What's that all about?
Are you sure you're ready for the dirt that goes on in the guard towers, man?
Yeah, bro. I'm definitely ready for that.
So let me give you a little background about the guard towers. All right. So I go and start at Tuckwell, and I kind of accidentally fall in with, a notorious clique called the Hot Boys, It's just, I didn't join them. I wasn't a hot boy, but they were like notorious for sleeping with the inmates. And like, if you got called, they arrested you and they put your photo up on the wall, and they had a wall of shame and stuff like that. So these guys actually taught me how to, just being around them, you hear them talk, you hear little things, and they taught us how to actually, when there's low staff and it's a cool supervisor, or there's a supervisor, there's no supervisor all on the hall, they would have one of their buddies at the front gate or clerking, and they would take an inmate to the guard tower, sneak them up on the guard tower, and for a few hours, and you have to be clicked up because you have to take the inmate off the count and add them back to the count, so counter clear the institutional count. It's done at random. You don't know what time. So if they call a count, you can't have a body missing. You have to, connect up one of your bodies and say, add one of your buddies and say, add one to the count. So they would actually sneak inmates up in the guard tower and do all kinds of things. There was one guy, he actually, man, he had 3 inmates up there, and he had a bunch of DVD player playing porn. So man,
bro, that's a brothel.
And so, like, at first, man, I was, of course, I'm not crazy enough, man. I was scared at first, get my feet wet. So I actually snuck one of the other guards up there my first time. So man, like I say, man, it was you get bored in there, and then once you learn things, man, it's so much free time, and man, you just like.
So these hot boys, man, they're obviously a prison clique within the correctional officers. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's a nickname. It was a nickname people investigating them had given them, and they just called them hot boys. Some people allege I'm a hot boy, but no face, no case. Got no evidence to prove that. You just running your mouth.
Yeah. So when you got out of the prison system, man, like, and you did your book, which if people don't know, you have a book called The Corrupt Author, correct?
Yeah. My book is entitled Corrupt Officer's Guide to Love, which deals with, those issues we're talking about. And then I have also a book, Corrupt Officer's Guide to Money, which which deals with bringing in contraband.
All right. So when you got out of the prison, like the correctional officer scene, man, like when you did your book and now you're doing interviews and telling your story, like have you heard anything from the hot boys or people you used to work with?
Most of the hot boys who got caught, or they just moved on with their life, man. They don't want to bring that up. It's very uncomfortable. I got some close friends. We laugh about incidents, but I get a lot of threats, and I get a lot of surprisingly, I get a lot of. I never got one from a male. I get women all over the country contact me and say they're dealing with that situation. They're a correctional officer, they're a staff member, they're a nurse, they're a counselor, and they're involved with a male inmate. So they come anonymous and they email me and I chat with them and give them advice. Maybe they shouldn't take my advice. You probably don't want to take advice from the corrupt author, but they, when they read my novels, it touches them and they like, I'm going through this exact same thing.
Yeah, man. So, all right, let me ask. So, there on our first couple of interviews. I mean, you replied to some of the comments about like your people didn't like you sharing your story. What is your message and your like you know underlying factor on why you came out and wrote the book and now you're doing like interviews? What are you doing that for?
Well, let me say this to the commenters. They say those who can't do teach, and those who can't teach hate in the comment section on YouTube. So, I ain't worried about, I love y'all hate. Bring it on, fire off, I'm gonna fire back. It helps freeze channel. But my approach is sort of introverted. The public is unaware of what's going on in correction, the corruption and the conditions. And the Department of Corrections is just trying to bury it and hide it. And things are getting worse and worse and worse. What I do is I sacrifice myself. I talk about myself. I use myself as the example. I use entertaining way, but I expose and bring light. And people start saying, the public start demanding that these conditions change, and then we can get tax dollars and funding. So tax dollars can change. They're working on. They've ignored prison conditions in Alabama. They've ignored abuse. They've ignored custodial misconduct, all kinds of crimes. It's been ignored and buried. But what I do is I contact, and I still do it, I contact investigative reporters every time an officer is arrested, and I send them the information, and they do stories on it. And the public starts putting pressure on our legislature, on our Senate, on the federal government, and that releases funding. And you can pay officers so they don't have to be struggling. You can get better conditions for the inmates, because if the public knew what was going on, they would force change. And this is public dollars that the DOC is ran on.
What do you think, man, is going to be the big factor on what makes the Alabama prison system like recognize what's going on and start making changes?
They've made a lot of changes. Now, I'm very critical of them, but they've made a lot of changes. Let me give them credit while credit is due. They shut down Holman. Holman has a smaller population now, but I think it's just death row and a few other inmates, but they shut it down. They shut down Draper because it's raining and the kitchen flooding and inmates going through chow, stepping through large puddles and getting their feet wet and stuff. The abuse, officers are restrained from just doing whatever they want. And when you can do whatever you want, and then your attitude is inmates are thrown away and things like that, they just throw away, it can get real ugly in there. So now there's accountability. So officers are trying to be more professional. We got pay raises. My biggest issue, they had Alabama, we didn't get raises for 13 straight years. I worked there 5 years and didn't get a raise. They release funding now and have given us all raises, and they start off at more now than ever. So that helps. And they forced, the government stepped in and forced them. A lot of the corruption at Tutwiler was due to short staffing. You can do whatever you want with them inmates, because it's supposed to be 3 officers in this dorm and 2 rovers going down the hall checking in, and it's only 1 officer controlling 4 dorms. So we can't stop the fights. We can't stop the stabbings in the prison. We can't stop the sexual activity. And if you want to play and the officer want to play, there's plenty of opportunity.
So when you were working in the women's prison, man, what was What was the craziest thing? Like, did you ever walk into a dorm or into a bathroom or a mop closet and actually see the women like going at it with each other as far as like sexual?
Oh yeah, man. That's every day, all day, man. It's a level 5. A lot of them home. Yeah, man. It's something about women. They want companionship. Worst case scenario, man. I went into a shower room and because you have to every 15 minutes you're supposed to do a walkthrough through the showers. And they ran the hot water and let it steam up so you couldn't see in there. And I walked through there, man. It was like I think it was like 14 inmates laying on the ground in like a circle. They was doing like a oral sex human centipede, and I just yelled at them, and they went everywhere, man. It was like 14 women. I was like yeah, I'd be professional. I'd be like, "Hey, y'all, get the hell out of here!" But I was like, in my mind, I was like, "Damn."
You're like, hold on, let me take some pictures of this shit.
No, no, no. But I'm
Man.
actually off camera, man. There's a lot of that stuff is documented. I have been sent pictures and videos and stuff, and and I've taken pictures. We sneak. It ain't no secret. We sneak our guards sneak their cell phones up in the tower and stuff. Man, I took some pictures. And Officer Person, I'm calling him out, tried to snitch on me because I accidentally sent him, some a video of some, somebody dressed in all white, but they couldn't do nothing about that. They ain't see no face, no face, no case.
Yeah. So you worked at Tutwiler prison, right? For women in Alabama.
Yes, yes.
So what was when you were working there, man? Like, I know you're saying Alabama's corrupt and everything that goes on, but when you were at that prison, the people above you what was the most corrupted thing that you saw them do or, brush stuff under the rug?
I don't know. It as far as the lieutenants and captains and wardens, they were pretty good. Warden Albright, that's one of the most professional people I ever seen. Captain Hartthorne, Lieutenant Farrell, they were excellent. Maybe like some retaliation stuff, throwing somebody in SIG or something like that. But it was mostly like the sergeants and the officers who were, like I say, hot born, and man, it was doing so much stuff, man. There's a basement. No, a lot of people don't know there's a basement in Tucson, and the key used to be on the officer's key, so you could sneak inmates in the basement. It was the officers doing it, and maybe some sergeants looking out for them. There's a chapel after 5. You work third shift. You got a key to the chapel. You can take inmates and take them in the chapel and spend hours with them, man. And what's some of the sergeants, man? And like when you walk on an officer, like I know a sergeant, he walked down on a guy having sex and he didn't know what to do. And I walked down on a guy getting oral sex from an inmate. I didn't know what to do. I didn't turn him in. I didn't know what to do. What would you do if you walked in a dorm and you saw me getting head from an inmate? What would you do? I want to ask you a question.
Ah, man, I would probably turn around and act like I didn't see it. None of my
That's,
business.
that's exactly what I
Yeah.
did. I didn't know, man. I was scared because the guy had been investigated like 6, 7 times. They never could do anything. I didn't want to go turn him in and then have to work with him like 2 months
Yeah.
after you get off investigation.
Like, was there ever one of the wardens or the captains or that actually had walked in on one of these hot boys doing their thing or like close calls?
So they had our C dorm was the drug dorm, SAP program dorm, and it was separate from the institution. So you had to leave out of the institution. It was its own separate dorm. And a lot of times they're unmonitored because if you get a disciplinary, you get kicked out of there. So, but they had an actual office for officers you could separate from the inmates and go in there. And they had a little bathroom. They had to close it down because so much sex was going on. And one of the sergeants, he walked in on a guy having sex with an officer having sex in that office. I think that was the final straw that got it closed down. And he say, I talked to him. He say he didn't know what to do. He's like he wasn't gonna tell on the guy. He never been in that situation. He's a sergeant. But the dude, he caught the dude with his pants down. The dude started yelling and cursing at him and was trying to fight him. And that's what made him go turn to me. There
Yeah.
was also a captain who I think he got fired. I think he was in a little relationship with an inmate and they caught him kissing. And he tried to say that the inmate kissed him and he didn't know it was going to happen. he wasn't willing to participate in that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I've been assaulted too.
All right, so you're working in prison, man, and you're starting to, see the hot boys and the guard towers and all the crazy shit that's going on. What was it, man, that made you, turn to the dark side?
Well, I mean, I've been at the men's prison and women's prison, and what happens is you get in there, and I was like RoboCop. I was like, man, I obeyed all rules and enforced all rules. They hated me at first, but then like I found out like all the good officers, quote unquote, who I was modeling myself out, that they were like all talking about each other. I heard one of them talking about me. One time I overheard he was telling like the captain he ain't gonna make it. He be doing this wrong, that wrong, and stuff like that. And they're good officers, but they're bad people, So then, like, the hot boys, all them was cool. Like, they was teaching me shortcuts. Like, you don't have to do that in 12 inventory, 12 inmates come in. You don't have to do that inventory of their property. They give like an inmate like a couple of items, and the inmate go inventory everybody property and fill out the paperwork, and you just sign your initial. They taught me all kind of shortcuts and stuff. And I was like, dang, okay, let me deal with people according to how they treat me. And that's how I kind of got with them. And then you get frustrated with bad supervisors, and the staff start turning on each other. And then you start like kind of relating more to the inmates than you do other COs and stuff. So that's how you kind of start. And I mean, you lusted from day one, man. There's some beautiful people incarcerated, man. Some beautiful people incarcerated.
So what was the most hot inmate that you came across in your
Man, look,
time?
I have to give you a top 25.
Oh man, it's like that.
Man, I don't want to glorify it, but you can pick women down to the eye color. I've seen women with green eyes, gray eyes, blue eyes, gold eyes that change colors, exotic women, mixed women. I love dark women. I love really, really, really dark, like oil dark women. It was this oil dark woman. I ain't understand. She was like trying to trap me. Every time I count, she lived in K-Dorm. Every time I go in there, she be in the showers, butt naked. I mean, this woman had a body. It was beautiful. And like every time I'm not knowing the game, that she know what officer is gonna count their dorm and what time we going about count, and she's making herself available to me and stuff like that. I was still green. But man, it's like everything. And then I wasn't gonna just fall for like if like I turn them in. If I felt like I was at the edge, if they blow and I'm gonna fall over, I just go and turn them in, like take them up there. My supervisor loved that about me, the female. So they were like, okay, he's straight. Like, cause this a cool guy. Cause like man, they would put pressure on you, but what really will get you is like you see how me and you talking now, and you seem to be peaceful. You get to fucking around and talking with them and vibing with them, and then that's when you like obsessed and got a crush on them and thinking about them, going to the grocery store, picking up items and thinking about what you can get her and bring her. That's when you're in trouble, bro.
So did you steer clear of getting to that point with inmates, or did you ever slip up?
Man, I just an inmate at took while I'm writing right now. Write me, baby. I mean, it's a lot of gray, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I went all the way to the black, but let me see. It was this one chick, this white chick, and I've never really dated white chicks. But this girl was, I mean, oh my goodness, she was like 5'11", perfect breast, beautiful brunette. Remind me of like Megan Fox, man. And like she kept like coming up to me in the showers and stuff. I didn't know they're not supposed to talk to you. They're supposed to turn their body and wrap up when they're in the shower. But she talking to me, looking me in my face, and man, she coming, stalking me down in the prisons and stuff. And finally, she EOS, but she stays. She has to go to South Alabama. Her parents not picking her up, so they give her a ticket. Well, I get signed the detail, like drive her. I got to drive her to the bus station, so it's like a 40-minute drive. And she's a free woman now. And so, like, you know what I'm saying? That was a long drive. Just drive out.
So as far as the hot boys go, man, like we've talked and stuff, so I've looked into some of the claims that you made, and I've through the grapevine, man, I've heard like that those hot boys used to do some type of like strip shows in the dorm. Is that true?
That is true, man. So they want to throw my name in there because and I'm snitching. I'm calling their names. Adrian Lawhorn, Roy Rudolph. These my homeboy. Well, these people I run with, and they used to throw. Alabama is legal to have strip clubs in our area, so we throw strip parties. We can't have bars and strip clubs. We throw a little strip party. They will all say through strip parties. So since I hung with them, I would come show, Hot Boys films and footage, and then the officers started. I don't know why anyone would do anything crazy like this, but they started like letting the inmates at night do strip shows. And I mean, these are real strip shows. They don't put tables up. They got the little strobe light flashlights. The officers making blinking lights. They stripping down, and I mean, they throwing coffee balls and like soups and stuff up there to tip the strippers, and then the officers involved. They recording on their cell phones. I'll try to find it and send it to you. I actually had it on my cell phone. I really didn't want them. I felt like that was going to lead to an investigation. I didn't want nothing like that. But I've seen they got caught. It's probably online. They got caught. They had one on New Year's Eve one time, a big one and stuff. And like you always got people gonna snitch on you, act like they was bothered. They wouldn't made a complaint, say they was making too much noise and they was trying to sleep. So
Damn.
I seen that video. It was pretty live, man.
So what was the main reason on how the hot boys got knocked off? Was it due to that stripping show they used to throw, or like what was the actual like incident where they were like, y'all are done?
Well, no, man. I mean, they were like, it's people, man. I think, man, one year they ran through 31 staff members. So it's always people coming in, coming out. So it's constant hot boys. Probably still a few hot boys there. But what finally ended, like, they just free for all, do whatever you want. The Justice Department had to step in and place them on the investigation. They done a lot of things like made them, like the showers were wide open. They made them cover the showers and put little covers so male officers couldn't see the women while they showering. And they made them get more staff. So like one time I had entire South Hall, another officer had the entire North Hall. That's like 8 norms apiece. We the only officers in there. I could have did whatever I wanted in there. And
Do you think, man, from your time being a correctional officer and working in the prisons and actually like seeing, the corruption and what goes on with inmates, did that make you look at the inmates differently? Like, man, y'all got it fucked up in here.
yeah. I actually left corrections because I got tired of seeing like Ashley Jones. She committed her crime, involved in a double homicide, uh, and an attempted murder at 14. She's got life in prison. So you seeing someone 17, 18, 19 years, they never getting out. And the same thing, men, you seeing 22-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 17-year-olds coming in there, and they got life. And some of them, they'll get out, but their mentality and the way they talk, they coming right back. That just, that. And I had a stupid mindset. My mindset was like, oh, well, you do the crime, do the time, and it's bankrupt in the economy, Alabama's economy. And another thing, these people were going out and coming right back in, and we understaffed, overpopulated. So it was insane. And like they were saying, 79 to 82% of the people returning to prison. But what finally changed my attitude is when I went to work release, and those guys who got jobs at the work release and got trades, they were able to get out, get money, and only about 17 to 23% of them returned to prison. So it was like a complete flip. So my attitude was more like, oh, if you don't like prison, don't come. But it changed to, okay, we need to help these people get back into society and be productive instead of just, oh, they piece of shit, oh, they piece of trash and stuff like that. Because I got a daughter. A guy could go out and he could stay on his drug addiction. He can kill her in a DUI. Or he can rehabilitate his life and maybe marry my daughter and be a good husband to her. It's our choice as a whole. We're not separate from the inmate. We're one people. I seen good guys in there. Some of the guys I respect the most are inmates now. They're actually mentors to me. Their character was just amazing. And it was some talented people and things like that. So, and my brother, who I love more than anything else in this world, because like he's 1 year younger than me, and we grew up and we experienced life together. So I feel close to him. He was convicted of a crime and spent 16 years in prison. So no matter what he did, if any day I'll let my brother out, you know. So you got to have the attitude. We got to see ourselves as one people. And shout out to my brother, wife, Anita, and shout out to your best friend. I know you missing Alabama, and I know why.
All right. All right, man. Since we're talking about like rehabilitation and recidivism, what is going on in Alabama prison that is rehabilitating inmates, or is there anything going on for that?
It's work. They did shut down a lot of the programs for jobs, and that's the only thing that is rehabilitating. Let me tell you, when people go to prison, they come out traumatized and worse. Anger, mental health issues. It takes a lot to you got to deprogram from the stress, post-traumatic stress syndrome of being in prison. I used to make guys go to bed. I didn't understand what was going on. They would stay up all night drinking coffee, and then in the morning they wouldn't want to go to GED school, and or they didn't get any sleep. I didn't understand they were drinking coffee because someone was trying to kill them and they couldn't go to sleep, or someone was trying to rape them and stuff like that. So you go through those things. Prison isn't. I think we need to move towards Sweden. I thought I'd never think this, but we like Sweden and other prisons where they're just the conditions are better, because we are making animals, we are manufacturing animals and releasing them in public. They are going to get out. Very few people, and I'm so happy to see you, being positive and stuff, man. I got another question for you. I was on your channel and I saw a guy getting arrested, and he was pretty intoxicated. Was that you?
That was me. I actually need
talking to the police like that. You a G.
Hey, man.
I'll be like, yes, sir. No, sir.
Hey, there's a whole story that goes behind that arrest. And that was just like a short clip I got from my attorney, but I'm going to do an episode on that and explain why my attitude and all that shit went on the way it did. And I'll definitely going to drop that. But yeah, I was definitely faded, dog.
That's my favorite video.
Hey.
Hey, you guys, make sure you support him, because it's very therapeutic to talk about these issues. Other people have gone through things they've gone through. It helps them release. So I'm rooting for every prisoner. I just saw one guy in the neighborhood on his job doing lawn care and stuff, and he was locked up at state, and I gave him dap. I was happy to see him positive and making money and taking care of his family.
Yeah, man, that's what it's all about. And a lot of people, bro, like you said, man, they don't get that, and they just go in and out, or they get a life sentence. What do you think makes people go to prison, do a 5-year, 10-year bid, get out, and then be back in 6 months?
Well, we make the mistake of thinking like the mind is like a rubber band, and it has to be stretched out. We think everyone had our experience, our influence, our knowledge, but not everyone. You could be a 39-year-old man with a 17-year-old's mentality if you haven't experienced enough. They don't have support systems. I never grew up in a household where my grandmother sells drugs and my grandfather and all my uncles are in a gang, and they put me in the gang at 12 and send me out there to chase down cars to sell their crack. I've never been somewhere where someone's beating the hell out of me every day, every night, or molesting me all the time. So these people, they don't have support systems. They get out and their family won't take them to a job right down the street. Their family trying to force them to be in a gang or sell drugs, and they don't have no support system. So they go back into, that's all they know. No one's ever taught them to change tire. No one's told them work. They've just taught them the wrong things in life. They've taught them how to get high off pills, how to use meth, responsibly and stuff. Some people just, the environment is so bad, it's so terrible. When they go back, that's the only thing to get back into, and eventually you're gonna go back into jail. So it's very hard for people like that, and I thought goes out to them. You know, my heart goes out to him, my prayers go out to him.
So do you feel like prison makes people worse?
It definitely makes people worse. I I don't think it's I don't think anyone's being corrected or rehabilitated. I think that some people just have knowledge, they have opportunities, they have a right upbringing. And I think those people just turn and go back to the things they were taught and the things they know right. I've talked to dudes in there and they don't know right from wrong. They literally don't know right from wrong, or they think like a child. You know, they
Scary.
impulse. There's no hope for them, and the system's only going to make people like that worse.
Yeah, I feel like, bro, like when you people go to prison and they have problems, all prison does is exploit those problems and make them even worse than they already were.
I just like to say those guys need jobs and they don't need crappy minimum wage or $12. You know, these guys need jobs where they can, and skills where they can support a family. If you can get a guy where he can support himself and his family, that would knock a lot of the crime off. They need to build more trades, not more prisons. And drug addiction, that's a serious, I don't know if we'll ever conquer that. So kids, teens, man, if you can get away from this stuff, or you can never try it, you know, stay away from it. Stay drug free. It sounds lame, but that's, man, it catches up with you.
Yeah, these drugs, man, are nowadays, bro, it's crazy everywhere. And what you said, I can definitely relate to, because when I went to prison the first time and I got out, you know, all I knew before I went into prison was how to sell drugs. You know what I mean? So when I got out and went to that job, which you said job, but I think what you meant was we don't need jobs, we need careers, because that's really
Yes.
what provides the income for us to be, you know, sustainable in life. But when I got out, I would go back to selling the drugs, because like, why would I work for $10 when, and, you know, make 400 a week when I can make that in a day? And I got wrapped up in that cycle. Yeah.
And here's the rehabilitation for you. You can sell more drugs in prison.
Right.
You sell
Exactly.
more drugs in prison. It's crazy in there, man.
Well, you know, I think what you're doing is going to, you know, make a change. And the reason why I have you on my channel isn't to glorify the mistakes you did. It's to bring light to what really goes on in prison that the public, they kind of know about, but they don't really know the levels of it. And I think you sharing your story as an officer really, hopefully somebody sees this, man, and it brings like more awareness to what's going on in there.
Oh yeah, yeah. As now, I provoke people, but I'm a positive person, and I wish, I'm hoping everybody. You know, I try to provoke. I try to bring attention to it, and I sacrifice myself and my reputation for that. So you know what's going on. Let's demand that it's changed. Let's demand that it stops. Most people who are involved, they don't want to incriminate themselves. They don't want to make themselves look bad. They want to make themselves look good. So, you know, I've been a thorn in the Department of Corrections, Alabama Department of Corrections side for a long time. They really don't like when I speak, but, you know, can't do nothing about it because it's all me, you know.
Yeah, and that's all facts. So you keep being that thorn, man. But I appreciate you coming on, man. I know you got a book. Why don't you go ahead and just tell the people real quick how they can find your book in case they want to buy that?
Corruptauthor.com, Corrupt Officers Guides series. Check out my website, and I need to make it so y'all can put some comments on there and stuff. And yeah, man, you guys, I'm thinking about my books and some of the stuff I got into, man, and some of them women are beautiful, man. I got goosebumps. Look.
Hey, you were in heaven, bro. It sounds like you were working exactly where you wanted, bro.
I prefer the men's prison, man. Them women, it ain't all cake. It's not a cakewalk. Trust me.
Yeah, some women are crazy, bro. So, but I appreciate you coming on the channel, man, sharing your story, and you know, hopefully more people buy your book and you shed more light on this, and things start to change. But if you guys are new and you're tuning in for the first time, this is the kind of stuff we talk about on this channel. We're trying to make a change in the prison system, and only by sharing this kind of shit will people see it and change will start to happen. So if you like that type of content, hit that subscribe button and turn your post notifications on. And with that, it's DOC TV, and we're out.